Okay, I'm gonna move on to the next question. So this is from the third lesson of PRWC, and I'm looking at question 4. And in particular, this question is talking about the Lee family upgrading from a HDB flat to 1.1 million condominium. All right, so here we go. To For question part A and part B, I think it should not be a problem for all of us. So I would skip A and B and move directly to part C, which is a question that most of us would have a problem with. Okay, so quite a number of important things that we need to take note from this question over here. Now, the key thing about tackling PRWC questions is that you are basically sometimes given a lot of information, but you need to be able to fish out the relevant information and apply them at the right place and at the right time. Okay, so whole lot of information over here. Okay, then question asked, is it advisable for our dear Mr. Lee to upgrade to a condominium? So justify based on the calculations, considering his CPF and savings and whether they are able to pay the monthly repayment. So I would advise based on the fact that whether Mr. Lee can afford the monthly payment. If it is indeed too steep, he can't afford, then obviously we would advise him not to purchase the condominium. So what would we find out? Stay tuned to watch. Okay. So first of all, we need to ask ourselves, how much is the down payment for the condominium? Okay. Bear in mind the question actually mentioned this. For the purchase of condominium, our dear Mr. Lee can only take a bank loan. Okay. And how much can you borrow from the bank loan? Is only up to 80%. And how much should the payment be? Down payment of at least 20%, and 5% must be cash. Okay, so out of this 20% of down payment, 5% must be cash, and the remaining 15% of the price of the house can be paid using his CPF. Okay, then we head further down over here. Okay, we are told that the amount left from selling the HDB and paying off the current loan is as much. Now, what does this actually mean? It simply just means that after they sell off the house, paying some of the admin fees and loan back to HDB, this is the net profit that the family will be getting. Okay, and next part is the family also has a combined savings of cash, I suppose, and CPF balance of $250,000. So that's actually quite a pretty hefty sum of money. Okay, so first of all, we need to consider what is the down payment in this case. And the down payment, as you have read earlier on, is 20% of the unit price. All right, 20% of the unit price of the purchase price. And this 20% over here times 1.1 million, and it should give us a total of 220,000. Now, back to the important question, is our dear Mr. Lee able to afford this? So comes the next question, is our dear Mr. Lee and his family able to afford this down payment? Well, fret not, because he definitely is able to afford this down payment for a very simple reason. He has a total of 180K from the sale of the house. He has a total of 250K in terms of savings in cash and CPF, and therefore on hand he has this amount of money to finance for his house. Okay, so now comes the next question. How much money should he borrow from the bank? Well, truth be told, the higher the amount of money you borrow from the bank, the higher the premium or the higher the monthly installment that you have to make. So generally what most people will do is this: they will use the amount of money that they have to offset the total price of the house. So the next part we should do is to find the money to borrow from bank. Okay, and that will be 1.1 million deduct off 430,000, which is what he has. But mind you, before we carry on, before we continue, Actually, in the purchase of the condominium, he has to pay a certain stamp fee, which you were asked to calculate in part B. And if I've calculated this correctly, okay, you have to deduct the stamp fee of $28,600, which you should have calculated from part B, and that should give us a total of $698,600. So that means this is the amount that Mr. Lee would have to borrow from the bank in order to purchase the house. Then comes the next question. With this amount that he's going to borrow from the bank, then how much is the monthly repayment amount? Okay, so let's go back to the question over here, and you notice this is the formula given for the monthly repayment amount. Okay, so here we go. Oops, sorry, monthly amount. My principal amount will be $698,600. I multiply with the rate. Now, take note over here. This is important and crucial. If you look at the question carefully, it says that the interest rate is 2% per annum. All right, bear that in mind. 2% per annum, but it is also compounded monthly. Okay, in other words, my rate here is actually 2 over 12 over 100. All right, 2% is for the entire year, but because of the fact that the interest rate is compounded monthly, I need to divide by 12. Okay, and then I multiply by 1 plus 2 over 12 over 100, and to the power of n, where n represents the total number of times the interest is compounded. So if I'm looking at 20 years, okay, sorry for that. If you're looking at 20 years, then we are looking at 240 times, because 12 times 20 gives us 240. Okay, that's for the numerator, and the denominator will be 1 plus 2 over 12 over 100 to the power of 240 minus 1. Now, all you have to do now here is to key in this complicated looking thing into your calculator. It really helps if you have a Sharp or a modern Casio calculator. Okay, it helps you to see the fractions immediately. And if you have managed to key this in correctly, you should be looking at 3534.10. Okay, rather that is the amount that I have calculated. Sorry, to be more precise, for DP will be 09 here. Okay, so that is the monthly sum that our dear Lee family has to pay. Then comes the next question. Are they able to afford? There are certain criteria that we need to take note of. Well, first things first, take note that the Lee family will always, all right, it's a compulsory thing for the Lee family to have a 20% of their net income be saved up, and they usually spend a compulsory amount of $5,000. Okay. So with that being said, if we were to consider the savings, which is $2,000, because 20% of 10,000 was $2,000. In case you're wondering where did this 10,000 come from, well, they have a monthly combined net income of $10,000. So 20% of it will be $2,000. Okay, and you're looking at the spending here, which according to the question is $5,000. All right, and therefore the so-called surplus that they have is 10,000 minus away 2,000, which is meant for savings, minus away 5,000, which is spending. They still have $3,000 here. Okay, so this is a so-called liquid amount that they have, and not to forget, they also have a CPF contribution. And the CPF contribution over here, if I've read correctly and carefully, is $2,000. Okay, so with CPF, the contribution is 2,000, and with a surplus of 3,000, and therefore total here is $5,000. That means to say they can use this $5,000 to finance their loan installments. Okay, so if that is the case, ladies and gentlemen, okay, they have $5,000 to play around with, and their monthly installment to the bank is 3534.1009, and that would still actually give us a 1534 point, sorry, and that will still leave them with $1,465.90. This is in terms of cash and CPF. Okay, this is the surplus that they still have. Okay, so is it advisable for them to upgrade to a condominium? Of course, because well, after deducting the monthly sum which they have to pay the bank, they still have this amount for them to save up or to spend. Okay, so therefore the Lee family can definitely upgrade to the condominium. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I hope this addressed the queries that you may have from this question. Have a good day. Goodbye.